In this video, we're going to take the time to thread up the correct way the brand new Husqvarna Viking Embroidery S600. Now, this piece was in your accessory box, and so there's a little part right here where we're going to slide it into the back and then click it into position. You saw it just moved a little bit to the left, and then we'll take the thread stand here and we're going to pull it all the way as high as it will possibly go. Now we are going to be needing to use good quality thread on this serger. This is a high performance serger, and you know, when you put not so great quality gas in a really expensive car, it doesn't work well. So I am using the Mettler Sara threads. We'll put links below this YouTube video if you're interested in what that particular thread is all about. And we're going to be doing color-coded threads, so you're going to be able to see my samples as we go. Now sometimes these kind of wiggle around back here, so you do have those cone holders that you can slide right up the middle here and then kind of position them, and then they won't wiggle around so much on the serger. Now once I put these in the cones, just kind of keep in mind that sometimes when you take your cone off, those will stay in there. So if you're ever missing some, just peek in the last colors you were actually using on your machine. So, but once they're kind of in here, they really make a difference and help stabilize all the cones. So I'm putting them in the order of the threading color dots here. Now this serger is brand new, so it still has the original kind of threads that were in the machine when it came to us. So I am going to just kind of take it. There's a knot right here, so I'm going to just clip all these threads. And yes, it's no big deal to take all the threads out. And then as you just turn the hand wheel towards you, you can lift up the presser foot right here, and then the threads are really going to just kind of release, because everything's going to be fairly open. If they are still kind of connected a little bit, all you need to do is just open the front cover and give them a little bit of assistance, and now the serger is completely unthreaded. So let's go ahead and do that. If you haven't unthreaded your serger, let's get all the threads out, and I'm going to take you step by step in how to thread this machine properly. One thing I want to always make sure my students do is make sure that the presser foot is up when you thread this machine, because that opens up the tension disc. That's the exact same way that you should be threading your sewing machine as well. Otherwise, it's really, really tight. If you need the tweezers at all, they're right here in the front cover, and also the stylus. So if you are moving around the screen, sometimes that's nice to actually use. Now, in my previous serger videos, on every other machine that I have used that does not have the air threading system, you always had to thread the serger in a specific order. Here's the benefit of this machine. It doesn't matter. So whether I decide to thread my needles first or my loopers first, once you get all the threads in it, all you have to do is do a test stitch out, and all the threads magically come together. Now you'd think that that'd be the same for all sergers, but it's not. That is a luxury. So if this is your first serger you've ever owned, just enjoy that you don't have to worry about that anymore. But I am going to start off with the looper options. That is going to be the red, or today pink, and the green. Today I'm going to use my lime green because I have to have a little lime green going on. So the first thing that we need to do is actually connect the air tube. So right now everything's moving very free in this area. So what we're going to do is we're going to slide this lever all the way to the left. Now nothing happened, and that's because my hand wheel is not lined up where the two marks are on the housing. So if you want to look right there, but really all I'm going to do is I'm going to just continue to turn until I hear that magic click. That extra loud click is the air tube sealing, so that when I actually push the button and send the air through, those tubes will send the thread right on through every part of this machine. The upper looper, the lower looper, and if you're over at the cover stitch, it'll send it through the cover stitch looper also. This used to be a pain to thread. Now it's just going to be super easy. So I'm going to actually kind of bring both the upper looper thread and the lower looper thread into position, and we can thread them at the exact same time. So that's what I'm going to do first. You just want to make sure that each thread is going right up above the cone, and then that way it will easily continue to come off the cone as you use it. Slip the thread underneath, and then give this a little floss down through the tension discs. And let's go ahead and do the same thing for the upper looper and right down into position. Now this is really where the magic happens. Make sure you just slide the thread right behind these last two guides here, and then you're going to take the thread, and again, don't lick this little, don't lick the end, you don't need to, but you do need to kind of just push it gently down into the hole. Now today in our environment, it's a little staticky, so just make sure you give it a little bit of help. I'm just kind of sliding it down. You just need to get a nice little inch or so into that, maybe even as little as a ½ an inch, and then make sure that this thread kind of puddles in front of it. So I've kind of pulled some extra thread down in front, and then that way when we send it through, there's enough extra thread to make it all the way through all the tubes and out the loopers as we thread it. So here's all we have to do, just slide it down here. And then when you have a nice extra amount, push the button, and you can watch them kind of come flying out the side here. And there it is. There's the green one, and there's the pink one. Usually, I just tell people, just leave them. Don't try to muck with them. Just leave them right there. When we're going to thread our needles next, and we're going to be serging in the matter of seconds instead of hours. So this is my left needle, and this is my right needle. Again, no particular order. My presser foot is still up, so those tension discs are still nice and open. So I'm going to just kind of get them started, and then we'll kind of zoom in on where we are placing these threads. You're going to notice that this is more almost like what you will be doing similar to your sewing machine when you're threading it on a regular day. Here I'm going to use the tweezers so you can kind of see where I'm going. Again, it doesn't matter which order we thread it in. I'm going to start with the yellow one and bring it all the way over, and we're kind of laying it in each of these guides. Come up and over the top like you're putting it in the take-up lever of your own sewing machine. These guides are not as important, but you do want to just kind of separate them. They'll keep them kind of separated from each other. And then just one last guide at the top of those needles. Just kind of slide that in far enough. Next, I want to show you how the needle threader works. So first off, on a needle threader, there is a mark on the top, so you will need to hold it so that mark is on the top visually. You will find another one 180 degrees on the other side. So as long as one of those is on top, you're good. Then you're going to be laying the thread in the mouth right here. And you're going to see that as it pushes, there's a little kind of tongue that sneaks out. And that's what's going to plunge the thread through the eye of the needle. So this is how it's going to look. Mark is on top. Lay the thread in his mouth, kind of side to side, kind of like a horse's bridle. And then when you come directly in front of the needle and you push in on the needle threader, that little tongue is going to sit right into the groove of the needle. Then gently slide down until it wants to kind of plunge into the eye, and that loop of thread is right there for you to pull right on through. So let's do the same thing with the blue thread. This one's going to be the right needle this time. Come up right where the guides are, over the top like we did with the take-up lever, down in one of the guides on the side here, one at the top of the needle, there we go. And then this time, same thing. Find the mark on the needle threader so it's on top. Lay the thread side to side in his mouth. Gently push it up against the needle until it wants to stop. See how it kind of wants to stop there? Slide down until it pushes it into the eye. And then again, I like tweezers just to pull it through, and it's ready to go. Now, you do have threads kind of going a little every which way. That is not a problem. What we are going to do is just get some fabric, fold it in half, and do a test run. Now, if you try to sew with the presser foot up or the door open, you are going to get a little message on screen to tell you what you haven't done yet, such as front cover is open. So just touch the little check mark, and then as you close it, do you notice it doesn't close? And that's because we have yet to kind of reconnect the air tubes away from each other. So go ahead and make sure this little lever gets slid all the way back to the right. That will allow the door to close correctly. That will then allow the machine to sew. Now, if the presser foot is up, again, you'll still get a message that will tell you that you cannot sew when the presser foot is up. But we're going to go ahead and get our fabric prepped. You'll see me throughout our videos fold the fabric in half and then cut off the fold. And then that way we can always kind of test the fabric, make sure this stitch looks good. But I'm going to slide that right up underneath the presser foot. I'm going to lower it down by taking the lever over here on the side and placing it in the down position. And then just go ahead and stitch. Now there's going to be threads kind of going a little of everywhere. And if you want, you can take some scissors, because these are just not yet in the chain. And sometimes I'll just cut them short-ish. And then that way, as I continue to stitch, everything will kind of go out the back side. And there's multiple ways to cut this thread here. Gently stitch out a little bit extra. There's a cutter right here on this side, which you can bring that up and over, or you'll often see me step on my foot control, run the machine, and let the knife cut off that little extra there. So let's see what this looks like. We have a perfect looking overlock stitch, both on the front and on the back. When we definitely get into how to do your tensions or set up the machine with the sewing advisor, which is wonderful, we'll make sure you know all the things, what to look for and how to get the perfect overlock seam. This is a 4-thread overlock. We'll also get into how to know which stitch to use when. So make sure you check out all the videos at sewingmastery.com or that are in this playlist so you can learn this machine from start to finish.